I think many of the people I saw that are in the room have already heard about this project. That project was started in 2018 and finished in 2022 at the end of December last year. So I'm going to do a little bit of an update, and I'm going to focus on two aspects of it. One are the policy reports that we created, and the other one is a book for the general public that we are in the process of finalizing. So the project consisted of 14 countries, 5 disciplines, and 4 sectors, and included linguistics, neuroscience, education, psychology, speech and language therapy, and had 5 different work packages. And here you can see the list of the universities and other organizations that were the main beneficiaries, which means that each one of these universities or organizations had at least one PhD student who was working in that location. The work packages were related to language learning, cognition and creativity, language processing and the multilingual brain, multilingual cognition and society, language impairment in multilingual children, and multilingualism in migration and refugee settings. There are also 21 partner organizations that were used by the early stage researchers, our PhD students, for secondments within the academic sector, but also in the non-academic sector. And here you can see a slide with the 5 different work packages. You can see a picture of each one of the PhD students, and you can see more or less what the topics that they covered in the work. It was a fantastic team, and each one of the early stage researchers did a fantastic work, research, and publications. This is the website of the project where you can read more about the different people who worked on the project, our activities, and then there is a lot about dissemination and communication. And I'm going to come back to the website in a few minutes. In terms of dissemination, to give you some numbers, within those 4 years, there have been 86 publications in journals, book chapters, and different other outlets, 72 conference presentations, 70 poster presentations, and we created 5 policy reports. So I'm going to now focus on those policy reports because this is something relatively new in research projects. So in this project, we had the idea right from the beginning that each one of the work packages is going to summarize main findings and package them in the way that they will become relevant for key stakeholders inside the academia, but also importantly outside of the academia. So after all the results were done, then we did a lot of work trying to think, out of all these scientific results, what is relevant for audiences that may not be working specifically on the subject, maybe professional audiences like teachers, speech and language pathologists, but also policymakers. So we spent time to take the main findings, the ones that are relevant for a more general audience or professional audience, and then summarize them in terms of key findings and recommendations for policymakers. That was a very good exercise also for us, trying to distill the main messages that come out of those 15 PhD projects. So this is the first policy report, which is about how to improve assessment and treatment of multilingual children with language and reading disorders. And every policy report was about 8 pages long. We didn't want them to be very long. And we also so we started with an English version, and then we started translating them in different languages, the languages of the consortium. So here you can see that the first report has been translated into German, into French, into Italian, and into Spanish. The second policy report was about the foreign language effect in psychotherapy. So far, we have these translations that you can see here, and on the website, we also indicate which ones are going to come soon. So the second policy report is on psychotherapy, and use of foreign language versus native language of the patient. The third and the fourth policy reports are geared towards teachers and educators. And so the third one is called Does Multilingualism Bring Benefits? What do teachers think about multilingualism? And here we included also results from a survey some of the PhD students did with teachers across several countries that looked at attitudes of teachers about multilingualism. The fourth one is about how to support language and literacy development in heritage, majority, and foreign language classrooms. And from this, I'm going to show you a few more pages to give you a flavor of what those policy reports look like. So we always start with some key findings, but then in particular, the ones on teachers. We also had some definitions. What is a first language? What is a heritage language? What is a second language? What is a foreign language? Because these may be understood by different people in a different way. So here we define them, how they're being used in these specific reports. Then we always have a background and some challenges. And then we have some key findings and mapping to them some suggestions for teachers. We thought this is very important to not just present results, but from our perspective, make some specific recommendation. Okay, what can you do now as a teacher? The final policy report is about multilingualism in migration settings, children and adult learners in formal education. And as in the previous ones, we have key findings. Here you can see we have for different groups, for adults, for teachers. But then in this report, we also, because there is research, but there is not a huge amount of research, we also spend some space here to articulate also what are the remaining open challenges, how did we address these challenges in our project, and what are the recommendations, and also what we advise policymakers to do. So we try to articulate also for the policymakers, you know, what our recommendations are. So this was one part to present to you those policy reports. We are now at a stage where we are translating, but also we are planning some multiplier events. So in every country, we will use the policy reports in the language of the country, and we will organize some events to make those reports known to the local community and to the country where we operate. And this is very important because having them only in English, that would address an international audience, but that wouldn't trickle down to the teachers of the schools. That would not trickle down to the ministries and the local authorities, who are the people who are making the decisions about multilingual children in schools, for example. The second part is about a book that we are in the progress of creating. So that was an idea that came in one of the meetings that we had, that it would be a good idea to create something that is going to be for the general public. Bring some of the results of the project and package them in a way that it would be easy for a non-academic audience to read, and would provide some messages, and would also debunk some of the myths about multilingualism. So what we did in this project, in this book, we asked each one of the 15 early stage researchers, PhD students, to think of a myth about multilingualism, and then think of their study and other studies, and how could they argue against that myth. Our early stage researchers were very creative. They all came with different ideas related to their projects. And so we have now 15 different chapters in a book that we organize according to these 5 parts: myths on multilingual minds, language learning and the brain, language acquisition, multilingualism and education, multilingualism and clinical populations. And we have a contract with a publisher which is called CALEC, and they are particularly interested in books on multilingualism. They're also interested in translating books in different languages. And it's a non-for-profit organization, so this is not about making money for them. It is about publishing books that are going to be useful for the general audience. You can see here one version of the cover. We're not 100% sure yet. I think we need to work a little bit on the colors in order to make it more attractive. But the title is going to be Myths and Facts about Multilingualism, a title which is kind of very easy to understand what is it in the book. Bilingualism Matters is going to create a series, a book series within the publisher. So this is going to be the first book in the series, and hopefully there's going to be other books to come from different projects and from different Bilingualism Matters branches. This project is being led by Julie Frank. Federico Fallope and me, we are co-editing the volume. Here you can see a list of the different chapters that we have. Every chapter, the author of every chapter is one of the PhD students, plus one or more of the supervisors. And so these are the 7 chapters, and then we have another 8 chapters. And we haven't decided yet exactly which chapter is going to go with which part, but this can give you a flavor that, you know, some are about brain, some are about school, some are about clinical populations. Now, the last part is, for the last part, I'm going to go to the website to show you one more activity that we did as part of the project, and now it's online. So there was a photography exhibition that took place last year. The photographer is Luca Prestia, and Federico Fallopa has written the text. The exhibition is called Beyond the Border, Migration and Multilingual Science at European Borderscapes. And now I'm going to go to the website. And probably I will make this. Yeah. So this is the website of MultiMind. So you will find in dissemination, we have posters, presentations, publications, policy reports. In communication, we have blogs, newsletters. We have many video clips of talks of people who gave as part of the project, flyers, links, and media. But under activities, you will find that we have, apart from material for European Day of Languages, DLD Awareness Day, we also have the exhibition Beyond the Border. This was a physical exhibition that took place here at the University of Constance in the library, where Luca brought his photographs and Federico the text. The exhibition took place for 2 weeks, and then we decided that because there was a lot of interest on the exhibition, we will create an online version of the exhibition. So at the website of the project, we have the introduction, and then we have all the pictures, all the photographs, together with some text about, to bring some context for each one of those pictures. And we also have a narration, which is, most of the time it's the text that is written. You can also listen to it, but some people would prefer to listen. Some people may prefer to read. And in that way, you know, it's like being in the exhibition. You can see the pictures, you can read the text, you can listen to the narration, and you can understand more about this project, about language in a migration and refugee context. What does language mean for people? This is a picture from migrant shelter, and here there is a picture of language learning. And by clicking, you can hear the text. I'm just going to click and play a few seconds so you get an idea of what this experience is like.
Outside Moria, a coalition of civil society organizations under the umbrella of Lesvos Solidarity set up a few buildings where migrants from Moria could spend time attending language classes, labs, or social events.
So as you see, we did a very high quality recording in one of our labs in order to be able to have a good experience for whoever wants to attend the exhibition online. So this is the exhibition. As you can see, there are many pictures. You can spend time reading and listening to it. I'm gonna go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so that's the exhibition. And this is the team where we met in the first summer school before the pandemic. So you can see faces of people who were part of the project. And this is all I prepared for you. Thank you very much for your attention.